For over 13 years, we were led to believe that fat, for the most part, were responsible for poor health conditions, such as overweight, obesity, diabetes, and heart attack. In this video, we take on the role of a lawyer, defending an innocent part who has been oppressed for far too long. We are in the 60s, 15 years after the World War II, a war that requires us to make adjustments in how we produce food, so the majority could have something to eat. During the war, those adjustments weren't felt on the health of the population, but 15 years later, it was evident. The health of the population was deteriorating, and the culprit had to be found. We need someone or something to blame for the growing health issues. Some studies were conducted, perhaps precipitously, but they conclude that fats were deadly substances. But we didn't stop there. Food industry seized this unexpected opportunity. Animal fat were out. What could we use to replace them and at the same time make profit? This is when vegetable oils were promoted, especially margarine, which is an hydrogenated vegetable oil. Take a look at this image, where we see several fats, and clearly even ants refuse to approach margarine. Knowing that these ants are looking for nutrients, this image means everything. Margarine was actually the first synthetic food made available for the public as a butter substitute sold at a cheaper price. Unlike natural butter, it can be modified at will. You could add anything, vitamin B, A, X, and even Z. Sound amazing, right? Well, no, because in the end, the trans fat from which margarine is made turned out to be more harmful than the saturated fat of animals. There is LDL, bad cholesterol level. They lower HDL, good cholesterol level. They raise triglyceride level. They promote inflammation and thrombus formation. And they promote insulin resistance. To make it short, replace a moderately dangerous fat with a fat that's downward later. Unfortunately, by the time we realized this, margarine had already caused a lot of damage. Supermarkets start to feature more and more labels like low fat, no cholesterol. And the livestock industry start breeding animals with very low fat content. In general, there was a considerable reduction in fat. Fat were now considered the common enemy, with saturated fat and cholesterol at the forefront. But let's not forget that the same fat give our food flavor. Don't believe me? Here the proof with just 3 food: steak, cheese, and chocolate, which are rich in fat. The solution to replace this flavor benefit of fat was to add sugar and additive. So every time you see something low in fat or fat-free, be careful. They probably add sugar and additive, so you still want to buy it. 13 years after all this obsession with fat, we were still confused. We were supposed to have found a culprit, but why are there more metabolic disease than before the changes? It's like arresting a suspect of a crime with a signature mark, but the same crimes continues.
Get on the wall, mister. Hands behind your back. You're under arrest. Is anything gonna poke me here? Any drugs, weapons, guns, knives? Anything? Spread them! You know what I did? You have the right to remain silent. Anything that can say will be against you in the court of the law. You have the right to an attorney.
I won't make baseless claims. I rely on serious studies conducted in 2001. According to the studies, the amount of saturated fat in the diet has probably little or no impact on heart disease risk. And the evidence that increasing polyunsaturated fat intake reduces the risk is slim or none. There is also a weak correlation between dietary cholesterol and coronary heart disease. Similarly, the consumption of egg has little correlation with heart disease risk. Those was the claim made to justify the replacement of saturated fat. These insights are for educational purpose. Do not make dietary change without consulting your doctor. Finally, we found that, on the contrary, replacing fat with carbohydrate lead to weight gain. I'm not condemning the carbohydrate in general, as you will soon see in a video, so don't forget to subscribe. Here's something you need to know. The human body needs energy. It's not a secret to anyone. What to let know is that there are two primary energy sources for cells: carbohydrate and lipids. What happens is that when you eat, your blood sugar rises, no matter the meals, and this sugar is used by your body as energy for a certain period. This is the anabolic phase. After this period, the sugar from the meal is no longer in your blood, or only in trace amounts. Yet, you still need energy, and that's when hunger or false hunger, as some experts call it, strike. And when this false hunger appears, your body should be able to switch from carb mode to fat mode to continue metabolism. But if you've been consuming a lot of carb, especially simple one, fast digesting carb, your body loses the ability to make that switch. As a result, instead of being a bread, you can no longer use lipid. And since these carbs increase the sensation of hunger and are digested quickly, you end up eating more of them. Over time, weight gain becomes almost inevitable.
Not all fats are healthy, especially in today's world. Do you remember the saturated fat from animals in the 60s? Back then, we could say they weren't dangerous. But today, this is relative. It depends on where the animal comes from. If the animal were raised according to the industrial practice, avoid that.
To make it clear, here are the industrial practice. Fed only with seed, kept in cage all day, pumped full of antibiotics and growth hormone.
But if they are raised organically, go ahead, but in moderation. Another bad fat are trans fat, and they should not be negotiated. Those are the fat loved by fast food industry. They are cheaper, reusable practically and definitely, but incredibly destructive to the arteries. We also got certain vegetable oils, which dominate the market today. Oils rich in omega-6, which are highly pro-inflammatory. We will revisit this in another video. When we talk about bad fats, you might mistakenly hear cholesterol. Why do I say mistakenly? Because cholesterol plays an important role, despite all the harm attributed to it. What I forgot to tell you about cholesterol is that research have found that half the people who get heart attack don't have elevated cholesterol, and about half the people with elevated cholesterol do not suffer from coronary heart disease and have an healthy heart.
I'm saying this to emphasize that each patient is unique.
And while cholesterol must be reduced in some, others must maintain an acceptable level. Cholesterol plays a crucial role in the production of sex hormones. Testosterone and estrogen are produced from cholesterol. Anything that lowers cholesterol level also reduces the secretion of sex hormone. So, what are the consequences of wanting to reduce cholesterol level?
In men, we could have low testosterone level. And if you're interested about a video on the subject, let me know in the comments. For a woman, high estrogen level compared to progesterone, which disrupt many stages of reproductive health from fertility to menopause, causing irregular period, weight gain, mood swing, and serious health consequences. For example, the risk of uterine cancer is linked to this condition called estrogen dominance. The human brain is made up of about 60% fat. Even neurons are coated in fat, providing essential neuroprotective function. The cell barrier is also made of lipids, and lipids help absorb fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A and A.
Many are starting to understand that fifth wrong lipid, as seen with diets like ketogenic and paleo, which are rich in fat and help prevent several diseases. Even if I'm not a huge fan of diets, after reading a lot on different ones, and I will tell you why in another video. But to conclude this one, fats are not guilty, especially good ones.